Q&A was filmed in front of a live studio audience, but they were really quiet that day, so you probably can't hear them. But I promise they were clapping. They really liked it. So my favorite on the album is obviously, hands down, Late Night Talking or Keep Driving. I can sing every single word, and at the concert, I was just like, oh, am I on? Hello, and welcome to Social Studies Today. I'm your lead anchor, Miss Grady. Our top stories today, the Battle of Little Bighorn. There are multiple sides to the story, and I'm so excited to say that we will be bringing them all to you with the help of my lead correspondent, Mr. Snow. He's out in the field right now with our first guest. Take it away, Mr. Snow.
Thank you, Anchor Grady. I'm so excited to be on location here. Right now, I'm actually talking about the wonderful Mr. Custer himself. Mr. Custer, how you doing? Hi, I'm doing okay. Well, that's good. I have some questions for you, if you don't mind. Go for it. Can you tell us a little bit about your background? You know, I mean, we know what happens to you at the end, and so do you. But we were wondering, can you tell us a little bit about your background? Sure. So, I was in the American Civil War, fought a lot of battles, also got a lot of demerits at West Point. Demerits are like detentions for you little kids out there. Anyway, while I was battling my way through the Civil War, I fought in battles such as Gettysburg as well as others. I've had 11 horses shot out from underneath me, and I sustained 0 injuries because of it. Now, after the war, finding a job was tough. Luckily, I was in the military, and my job was to push west, as far west as we can go, through a process called Manifest Destiny. Manifest Destiny is just us, America, trying to get to the farthest reaches, to the Pacific Ocean if we can. And unfortunately, there were people living there. Oh yeah, like can you talk about some of these people? I sure can. One person was a tribal leader named Sitting Bull. This guy was tough. Rough, tough, and ready to fight. There was a time where his tribe was being shot at while he was sitting in his tent. He sat there as bullets whizzing past his face, calmly lit up a smoking pipe and smoked it while bullets passed him. He's that cool of a character. Wow, he does sound pretty tough there, Custer. Hopefully you don't meet him anytime soon. You're going to. That's not funny. Anyway, I was sent to take out natives in many of the western lands, mostly to make room for new settlers of America. And I also met my wife, a pretty young lady who I devoted my life to, other than my luscious locks, of course. By the way, does it smell cinnamony fresh? 'Cause it should. Anyway, when I was trying to push these natives further and further west, decided to call it a day and let my men do the job for me. And I went AWOL to hang out with my wife. Well, this caused me to get a year kicked out of the service without pay. I only served 10 months. Well, anyway, they called me back. In South Dakota, near the Black Hills, there was a group called the Sioux. And the Sioux did not want to leave their land. Matter of fact, the Sioux was given that land by contract by the United States, but we found gold. So we voided that contract and said, get out of here. And then we did try to kick them out. And that's where it gets difficult. It's rough. I mean, really rough, Custer. But since you don't remember what happened, when you decided to try to take out Sitting Bull, I actually have the honor of introducing Sitting Bull himself. How's it going, Sitting Bull? It's okay, I guess. Well, Custer seems to be losing his memory or something like that. Can you tell us what happened when Custer and his men went to this, the Black Hills of South Dakota and tried to kick the Sioux out? Can you give us a little rundown? I sure can. First, he and his men, who were outnumbered, ridiculously. We had 3,000 Native Americans. They had about 200 men that we saw on the battlefield. All of them are going to die. You see, what we saw was Custer and his men, they split up into 4 groups. One group protected their supplies. They weren't part of the battle whatsoever. The other 2 groups was half of his men were supposed to attack us from the south. Yeah, we repelled them off pretty quick because we had some pretty good guns back in the day. And then the other group was Custer. He's about 1/4 of the men, about 200 plus. They come after us, not realizing the other men just took off with their tails between their legs, and we basically obliterated them. Yeah, Custer didn't have a chance. We sat there and we killed every single man. And when we were done, we stripped them down and mutilated their bodies. Custer himself had a couple piercings in his ears, and I'm not talking about the outside. I'm talking about our women actually took piercings and pierced his eardrums so he could listen a little better. So that's what happened to Custer. So as far as that battle goes, it wasn't much of a battle. It was a slaughter, and we kicked their hind ends. Way to go! We did it. Well, that sounds like a rough time. Custer's last stand was not so much fun for Custer. Maybe next time he would, I don't know, make sure he has enough men to fight it. And maybe his men won't abandon him like he did prior. Back to you, Correspondent Grady.
Yikes. Thanks, Mr. Snow. Now let's turn our focus to our next story, the Battle of Wounded Knee. On December 29th, 1890, nearly 300 Lakota people were killed by American soldiers. These soldiers' original mission? To rid the plains of all Native American tribes. On that day in December, U.S. soldiers surrounded the Lakota camp in an attempt to disarm them. One story says that a gun accidentally was fired and all chaos broke out. Oh, what's that? It seems our correspondent, Mr. Snow, is back on the ground, and he's got a special guest. What's that? A person who was actually there. Turning things over to you, Mr. Snow.
It's good to be here, Correspondent Grady. I gotta say, I've been reporting on some pretty terrible stuff today, but we're here at the site where the massacre of Wounded Knee took place. We do have a special guest. Tribal leader Bigfoot is here to discuss what happened that day. Good evening, Bigfoot. Well, I would say it's not a pleasure to be here. But I know you want to know the story of Wounded Knee. So let me tell you what happened. Us, tribal folks of the Sioux, we've had many of our buffaloes taken away. As a matter of fact, our buffalo population went from millions to a handful within the span of 30 years. And because of this, our lifestyle has become difficult. And we developed and started believing in a spiritual thing called the ghost dance. Now, the ghost dance has been around for a while, but now we are performing the ghost dance in a particular way to hopefully ward off the new arrivals into our land. You see, you Americans came into our land and they kind of kicked us out, and they took our resources away. And because of that, this dance was in hopes to get rid of you and make the land plentiful again and the buffalo to return and you to disappear. Now, the dance itself is peaceful. It is something that is more of a spiritual path and a dream walk than an actual physical action of killing anybody. But as we were going towards Wounded Knee and I myself got sick to do this ghost dance, the U.S. military thought we were a threat and ordered us to basically camp near Wounded Knee. Well, I have this very young and very upset and angry and ready to fight person named Yellowbird, who started a fight with one of the U.S. officials, and this fight ended up turning into the slaughter of Wounded Knee. About 200 people of mine were killed, 300 if you count the women and the children. And the sad thing is, even though we were slaughtered for not doing anything particularly violent. 20 of the men who killed my people were given medals of honor here at Wounded Knee. This is obviously a travesty, and this will mark the end of resistance in the Dakotas from the native peoples. I hope I was helped today. Yeah, thanks Bigfoot for letting us know what happened at Wounded Knee. Sounds pretty rough. Back to you, Correspondent Grady. Grady.
Wow. No words can describe how horrific that battle was. Sadly, this was the norm for many tribes across the country. It's important that we continue to learn and tell the stories of Native American tribes so as to not forget whose land we really possess. I would like to thank you for joining us for this special episode of Social Studies today. This is Miss Grady signing off, and as my friend Harry always says, treat people with kindness.